You're the reason a narcissist hasn't slept in 3 nights, and you don't even know it yet. Right now, somewhere, someone who drained you, used you, and then discarded you like you were disposable is spiraling. Not because they miss you, not because they feel bad, but because of something far more primal, something they have spent their entire life running from, and the moment you walked away, you accidentally handed them their worst nightmare on a silver platter. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on what actually goes on inside a narcissist's mind after they hurt someone who loved them completely. This isn't surface level stuff. This goes into the psychology that most people never get to see. Hi, this is Dr. Elena Voss. If this channel has ever helped you make sense of something you couldn't explain, hit that like button and subscribe. You're going to want to stay for this one. So, let's set the scene first. You gave someone everything: your patience, your time, your loyalty, your emotional bandwidth. You showed up on their worst days. You defended them to people who saw the red flags before you did. You made excuses for behavior that deep down you knew wasn't okay. And eventually, they hurt you in a way that you didn't see coming. Or maybe you saw it coming for months but kept hoping it wouldn't happen. Then they moved on, quickly. Maybe they already had someone else lined up. Maybe they acted like your entire relationship meant nothing, and you were left standing there, completely blindsided, asking yourself, does this person feel anything at all? Here's what nobody tells you, and this is where it gets genuinely fascinating from a psychological standpoint. Narcissists do feel something. It's just not what you'd expect. Researchers who study narcissistic personality disorder consistently find that beneath the bravado, the grandiosity, and the complete inability to take accountability, there is one terror that runs deeper than everything else. It's not losing love, it's not guilt, it's becoming invisible. Narcissists are fueled by what psychologists call narcissistic supply. Think of it as emotional fuel: admiration, attention, envy, fear, even anger. All of it counts as supply. When you were in their life pouring everything you had into them, they were their most consistent source. Your devotion literally kept their self-image afloat. When you stop, when you go quiet, when you heal, when you eventually start glowing again, they don't just lose a person, they lose their mirror. And without that mirror reflecting back how exceptional they are, they start to unravel. Here's where an unsettling fact comes in. Studies on narcissism show that people with high narcissistic traits have significantly lower baseline self-esteem than they project outward. The arrogance, the confidence, it's a performance, a full-time, exhausting performance. And you, the person who gave them everything, were the audience that kept the show running. Without an audience, the performer panics. This is the part people don't talk about enough. After hurting someone who genuinely loved them, a narcissist doesn't just walk away clean. One of two things happens, sometimes both. The first is what's called hoovering. They come back, not because they've changed, not because they realize what they lost in any meaningful emotional way. They come back because the new supply isn't measuring up, because somewhere in the back of their mind, they know no one else has loved them the way you did. They'll test the waters: a random text, a like on your photo after months of silence, and "I've been thinking about you." It feels like a breakthrough. It's actually a refueling stop. The second thing that happens is the silent panic. They will never admit this, but behind closed doors, when the new relationship starts showing cracks, when the novelty wears off, when nobody around them knows their history or tolerates their patterns the way you did, they feel something hollow. It's not grief exactly. It's closer to the feeling of realizing you've burned down the warmest house you ever lived in, and now you're standing in the cold, wondering why you did it. They'll project that feeling outward. They'll blame you. They'll rewrite the history of the relationship so that you were the problem. This isn't just defensiveness, it's a psychological survival mechanism. If they let themselves sit with the reality of what they threw away, they'd have to face things about themselves they have built an entire personality to avoid. Here's something worth sitting with. A true narcissist will almost never give you a genuine apology. Not because they're incapable of stringing the words together. They might actually say, "I'm sorry" at some point, usually when they want something. But a real apology requires a person to look clearly at the harm they caused and feel the weight of it. That kind of self-reflection for someone with deep narcissistic traits is essentially threatening to the entire structure of who they are. Psychologists call this egosyntonic behavior. The narcissist's harmful patterns feel natural and justified to them, not like problems to fix. Your pain registers to them as a logistical inconvenience, or worse, as evidence that you're too sensitive. But here's the twist, and this is the part that should actually give you some peace. The one thing they cannot take from you is your growth. This is what haunts them most. When you stop waiting for the apology, when you stop checking their social media, when you build something new with your life and start carrying yourself differently, that is the thing a narcissist cannot process. Because in their framework, you were supposed to stay broken. Your brokenness was confirmation that they mattered. When you get better, their entire narrative collapses. They told themselves you couldn't survive without them. Your healing is evidence they were wrong. And narcissists, more than almost any other personality type, cannot tolerate being wrong about their own importance. Some of them will resurface right around the time you finally moved on, almost like clockwork. Therapists who work with narcissistic abuse recovery have noticed this pattern so consistently it has an informal name: the return of the ex at the moment of your peace. It's not love bringing them back. It's their inability to accept that they no longer hold power over you. Freedom doesn't arrive loudly. It shows up when their name stops hitting different, when you stop rehearsing the conversation where they finally admit what they did, and most tellingly, when you stop needing them to understand what you put you through. That last one is the real finish line. The day you genuinely don't need their acknowledgement anymore is the day they lose the last thread of control they had over your peace. If any of that already feels true for you, you're closer to the other side than you realize. None of this means you should feel sorry for them. Understanding why someone does what they do is not the same as excusing it. You can have compassion for a wounded person and still protect yourself from them at the same time. The goal isn't to become bitter. It isn't to obsess over what's happening inside their head either. The goal is to understand enough to stop internalizing the damage they caused as something that was about you. It wasn't about you. Your worth wasn't the variable. Their brokenness was. All right, before I let you go, I genuinely want to know, did you ever notice the moment a narcissist came back right when you'd started to heal? Or maybe you recognized that mirror dynamic when you heard it just now? Drop it in the comments. No judgment here, only people who get it. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. See you in the next one.